Billionaire discovers his daughter's secret. Black Maid's shocking midnight confession strikes fear. The clock struck midnight, its haunting chime echoing through the empty mansion. Shadows danced eerily across the walls, mingling with the secrets buried deep within the opulent estate of billionaire James McCullough. Just moments before, his daughter, Chloe, had been whispering sweet dreams, nestled comfortably in her silk sheets. But outside her door, tension curled like smoke in the air, thick and cloying, ready to ignite. When Mary, the McCullough's trusted maid, stepped into the dimly lit hallway, her heart raced like a runaway train. She could feel it, the overwhelming weight of something unsaid, something dark lurking in the corners of this lavish home. Sweat trickled down her back as she hesitated, the antique chandeliers casting ghostly reflections on her wide, anxious eyes. She heard whispers of secrets, scandals, and affairs dripping like poison from the lips of the elite. But tonight, those whispers took on a life of their own. Suddenly, the air shifted. Chloe's door creaked open, and Mary was taken aback by the sight that awaited her. The girl stood there, eyes wide and searching, like a deer caught in headlights. "Mary," she whispered, her voice trembling, "you have to promise me, you won't tell Dad what I'm about to share." The sincerity of her fear cut through the thick tension, and Mary felt a chill creep down her spine. What on earth could be so terrible that it warranted such a plea? With every word that spilled from Chloe's lips, Mary's world began to spiral. The girl spoke of forbidden affairs under the stars, midnight rendezvous in the garden where moonlight kissed the roses. It was thrilling, scandalous, and utterly shocking. But beyond the thrill, something darker loomed, a danger that sent icy fear racing through Mary's veins. As the confession unfolded, it was clear Chloe was entangled in something much larger than herself, something that could unravel their lives, leading to chaos and danger. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the girls stood there, silence thundered in the air, swirling like a tempest within the confines of the mansion. The weight of Chloe's confession hung heavily, each word marking a shift in their lives. Mary's mind raced. Could she protect the secrets ringing like tolling bells in her ears? But just as this thought sank in, the sound of a door slamming echoed down the hall, breaking the fragile silence. They both froze, eyes wide and hearts thudding. What or who was waiting just beyond the threshold? The dark threat lingered, and as Mary glanced toward the sound, a knot formed in her stomach. Could this be the end of everything they knew? The air buzzed with electric tension, thick enough to choke. Both Mary and Chloe stood frozen, the shadows that cloaked the hallway stretching interminably. What had just thundered through the house? The echo of that slamming door hung over them like a noose. A bead of cold sweat rolled down Mary's temple, and she instinctively reached for Chloe's hand, squeezing tightly. The girl's eyes were wide pools of terror, reflecting both her fear and Mary's own rising panic. Footsteps crunched on the marble floor just beyond the threshold. Each sound felt magnified, a hammer against the walls as Mary struggled to swallow down the lump in her throat. What if the secret wasn't the only thing threatening to unravel that night? The door loomed before them, ominous and heavy, suffocating in its silence. Mary felt a primal instinct to protect Chloe, but the reality of the situation felt like a noose around her neck. The gossip that danced through the house had to mean something deeper, something sinister. What if James heard them? What if he knew? Mary, what if Chloe's voice quivered, a fragile whisper like the faintest breeze, barely breaking the overwhelming silence? Shoo! Mary interrupted, her own voice barely above a whisper, panic lacing each word. We need to stay quiet. With every second that passed, the tension ramped up. The footsteps grew louder, more deliberate. A deep, menacing voice echoed in the hallway, sending chills down Mary's spine. "Chloe. Are you there?" It was James. Mary's stomach dropped. He had spent weeks on edge, ever since rumors started swirling about their family about his lavish lifestyle and the shadows lurking just out of frame. In that moment, every fear that had haunted her washed over like a wave, pulling her deeper into the undertow. She couldn't let him find out. Not like this. "Think, Mary." She chided herself, glancing quickly around the room, searching for an escape. "You can't let him see her. You can't, Mary." James called again, his voice dangerously closer. She knew he wouldn't rest until he got a response. Chloe's expression had shifted from fear to panic, and Mary felt the weight of responsibility settle heavily on her shoulders. "Hide," she whispered urgently, gesturing toward the closet. The girl nodded, her movements frantic and jerky. As Chloe squeezed herself into the narrow space amid the coats and skirts, Mary held her breath, listening to the heartbeat that seemed to reverberate through the floor. "Chloe." James pressed again. Opportunistic thoughts rushed through Mary's mind. Should she defend her? Should she betray her trust to safeguard her own position? The millionaire's son, a threat in the shadows, had it all tangled in his web. What if he discovered them? What if he unleashed a storm upon their lives that they could never escape? The door creaked open, revealing a tall figure silhouetted by the flickering light of the chandelier behind him. James stepped into the hallway, eyes narrowing, as he surveyed the space. Mary held her breath, paralyzed by a mix of fear and resolve. She had to say something, anything to deflect suspicion away from Chloe. Without thinking, she stepped into the open, forcing a calmness in her voice that she didn't feel. "Mr. McCullough, you're up late." His gaze snapped to her, sharp and questioning, like a predator stalking its prey. "What are you doing here? You weren't supposed to be on duty tonight." The air thickened again, suffocating. Mary's heart thundered in her chest, but she had to say something, anything. "Just making sure everything is in place for tomorrow," she stammered, the lie tasting bitter on her tongue. James's eyes flicked toward Chloe's door, lingering just long enough for dread to coil within her. He didn't buy it. Not for a second. "What are you hiding?" he demanded, stepping closer, his voice low and dangerous. In that crucial moment, every decision, every secret swirled in her mind. Mary thought of the girl in the closet, of the truth that could tear their lives apart, of the shadows that stretched ever longer in the dark. Time seemed to stretch, and she realized the stakes were too high to falter. The question lingered: what would she do next? Would she expose the secret that threatened their very existence, risking everything for a chance at safety? Or would she dive deeper into deception? Just as she opened her mouth to respond, a sharp noise echoed from the other end of the hallway, a crash, something smashing. Both James and Mary froze, terror etched on their faces, but beneath the shock, a thought sparked in Mary's mind. What if this crash held the key to unraveling the tangled mess that had ensnared them all? As an alarming silence fell once more, Mary caught James's fierce gaze. The hidden truth they all clutched tight was about to unravel. Would they be ready for what came next? The heavy silence was shattered by the sound of glass shattering somewhere deep in the house. It sent a fresh wave of fear coursing through Mary, drowning out her racing thoughts. What was happening? The feeling of dread twisted in her gut like a knife. James's expression shifted, curiosity blending with suspicion as he turned toward the noise, muscles tensing. "Stay here," he commanded, voice cutting through the tension like a knife. Mary felt her heart lurch. "No, James," she started, but he was already moving, striding towards the sound with long, determined steps, revealing the outline of a figure lurching in the shadows behind him. A fleeting glimmer of hope ignited within her. Perhaps this commotion would buy them time. Yet, her instincts clawed at her, warning that spotting her secret could ignite a far worse storm. She darted back to the closet, her eyes wide as she crouched down beside the closed door. "Chloe," she whispered urgently. "Stay quiet. Please." There was a muffled sound inside the closet, the rustling of fabric, but it quickly stilled. Mary held her breath, praying it would be enough. Meanwhile, James paused at the end of the hallway, peering into the dim light that spilled from an adjoining room. "Is someone there?" he called out, his voice echoing eerily against the stark walls. The second stretched into an eternity as Mary listened intently. She could feel the room vibrating with tension. Why hadn't he turned back? Why wasn't he coming? What if the crash had drawn someone else into their dangerous web? Then she heard it. A voice low, trembling, yet unmistakably familiar. "James the First, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." Her stomach nodded. It was Chloe. "No." Mary breathed, panic clawing at her throat. She scrambled to her feet, feeling the cold terror in her skin as her mind raced with consequences. Without thinking, she dove forward just as James's hand shot out, reaching toward the door with fierce impatience. "Chloe!" Mary shouted, desperation spilling from her lips like a plea. James froze in place, his body rigid, turning slowly to meet Mary's frantic gaze. "What are you doing?" he asked, anger fusing with confusion in his tone. "What do you know?" "Nothing. Nothing, just please don't." Words spilled from her mouth without pause, strangled by urgency. "Just listen to me, it's not what it seems. We can fix this," she meant to tell you. Chloe exclaimed, stepping out from the haunting shadows of the closet, wide-eyed and shaking. "Mary, just let me explain." The unexpected intrusion staggered Mary. Chloe's presence added weight to the already unbearable moment, both a shield and a dagger aimed at their very survival. James's eyes darkened, narrowing with disbelief. "You were hiding her?" He pointed an accusatory finger at Mary, a mix of betrayal and rage swirling in his piercing gaze. "Is that so?" His voice rippled with menace, cutting the air. "What did I tell you about hiding things in this house?" Mary's heart raced as she sensed the fragile balance gave way beneath them. Fear wrapped itself around her throat, tightening with every breath. The glares they exchanged were daggers, thrust into the heart of their already fractured reality. "No matter what you think, we were trying to protect you." She shot back, fists trembling at her sides. "This isn't what you think, there's so much more at stake." The revelation hung like a noose above them, ready to drop. James's expression twisted with a mix of disdain and challenge, and Mary realized that she had a choice to make. Would she stand her ground for the sake of truth, risking everything? Or retreat into the shadows she wanted to escape? Before she could answer, another loud crash echoed from behind them. The entire world tipped sideways, darkness swallowing the last shimmers of security. "What now?" James barked, concern threading through his fury. Mary's heart raced at seeing the doubt in his eyes. She swallowed hard, mind working at lightning speed. "We need to find out what is happening." There was no hesitation. They were all in this together now, caught in the inescapable dark web of knowledge and betrayal. As they moved closer to the originating sound, a whisper spun through the air like a ghost haunting their every step. "Mary, help." Chloe's frightened face reflected back at her, but that wasn't all. There was something lurking in the depths of the dark, something they couldn't quite see. Heart pounding, Mary realized they might not be ready for what came next. What would happen when the truth revealed itself? Would they emerge stronger, or be shattered by the very secrets that bound them? And then, in the distance, another crash rang out, sending a jolt through every fiber of her being. What awaited them ahead was far more menacing than any of them could have anticipated. They crept forward, hearts pounding in rhythm with each hesitant step. The hallway stretched like an abyss, shrouded in darkness and doubt. Mary glanced at James, whose jaw was clenched, eyes darting toward every shadow, every flicker of movement. They were on a precipice, teetering on the edge of chaos. "Stay close," James whispered, but the underlying apprehension in his tone felt like a crack in their fragile alliance. Mary could see he was struggling between the burning anger toward her and the undeniable bond of survival that had tethered them together. Do you think it's someone else? She murmured, her voice barely above a breath. James shook his head, pulling a deep breath, as if he could siphon away the fear. I don't know. I need to know what is happening. It was an admission, raw and terrifying. They weren't just fighting for their lives but for their very sanity. A loud thud echoed in the distance, ricocheting off the walls, sending a shiver down their spines. Mary could feel the adrenaline surging through her, igniting every nerve in her body. Chloe, she started, turning to the girl who stood beside her, wide-eyed and trembling. You have to tell us everything now. Chloe gulped, swallowed hard. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I thought, she faltered, stealing a glance toward the darkness that loomed ahead. I thought I could keep it all hidden until I could figure out what to do. Mary felt a sudden surge of pity mixed with anger. This wasn't just about secrets anymore, it was about lives hanging in the balance. Figure out what to do with what, Chloe? Before Chloe could respond, the whispers returned, a haunting echo that filled the air. Mary helped. The voice was familiar, yet distant, like a cry for help carried on the wind. Is it coming from? Mary's voice trailed off as the realization hit. The basement. We can't go down there. James objected, eyes fierce with dread. I can't let whoever that is, whatever that is, suffer, Mary said, her voice trembling but resolute. I have to try. Chloe glanced between them, vulnerability etched across her face. What if it's a trap? What if they want to hurt us? There's only one way to find out, Mary insisted, heart racing, the weight of their decision settling heavily in the air. With a mixture of fear and determination, they moved toward the basement door, the wood creaking as James gripped the handle. Each breath felt like it could be their last. He hesitated, glancing back at Mary, searching for that flicker of hope. Do you believe we can fix this? His gaze bore into hers, layers of unspoken worries shadowing his features. Together, she promised, nodding earnestly, though her own heart quivered with uncertainty. As he opened the door, a rush of cold air slid past them, unsettling in its touch. They hesitated just long enough to hear the faint sound of whimpering, cutting through the stillness. Mary took a step down, the darkness swallowing her whole, and soon James and Chloe followed. The air thickened with tension, and the stairs seemed to distort reality, bending time and space. Each step brought them closer to what lay beneath the surface, to the echoes of buried truths. With every ounce of courage, Mary pressed forward. The basement opened up before them, dank and suffocating, shadows swirling like phantoms in hiding. Hello. James called out, the sound ricocheting unnaturally, swallowed by the oppressive air. Mary, the voice was clearer now, a mixture of pain and desperation, pulling her deeper into the darkness. What is happening? Mary whispered, fear clawing at her throat. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, eyes wide and glistening with fear. Mary's heart stopped. It was someone she recognized, someone once lost to their shared secret, a ghost from the past that threatened to unravel everything. Just as she registered the horror of the moment, the basement door slammed shut behind them with a deafening bang, plunging them into suffocating darkness. Let us out! James yelled, panic rising in his voice. But it was too late. They were trapped, and whatever awaited them in the shadows was now creeping closer, hungry for the truth. Mary's mind raced with thoughts, a single horrifying realization sinking in. What if uncovering the secret was the very thing that led to their end? And as the sound of soft footsteps echoed around them, another question gripped her heart: who or what had come to claim its fallen secrets? The air was so thick with dread that Mary could almost taste it, metallic and bitter. Chloe huddled closer to her, trembling as shadows danced around them, twisting into sinister shapes. James paced, fists clenched, his breath hitching with every noise. The basement, once a refuge for secrets, had transformed into a pit of despair. Who are you? Mary's voice nearly cracked, but she pressed on, desperate for clarity. The figure stepped into the dim light, and a chill swept through the room, roiling her stomach. Please, don't be afraid, the shadow pleaded, and Mary recognized the voice at once. It belonged to Amanda, someone they thought had disappeared forever, an unspoken truth buried deep. Amanda? The name slipped from Mary's lips, heavy with disbelief. Is it really you? James scowled, eyes narrowing. This can't be real. She's gone. I'm not dead, Amanda answered, stepping closer, a flicker of torment flashing across her features. But I have to warn you all. It's coming for you, for all of us, because of what we hid. What are you talking about? Chloe's voice trembled, clinging to the last threads of hope. Secrets have a way of coming back to haunt us. Amanda's eyes glistened like darkened pools, filled with sorrow and urgency. And what we did, what we knew, it's more dangerous than you can imagine. You're not making any sense, James snapped, digging his nails into his palms. What do you mean it's coming? Then came a long silence, so thick it swallowed even the sound of their breaths. Mary could see Amanda hesitating, her body trembling as if the telling of the truth had a physical weight. A year ago, I was part of something. Her words fell like stones in the darkness. I thought I could keep it quiet, you know. Just let the past be the past, but it wouldn't let me go. It wouldn't let any of us go. Mary's heart raced. Was this the end they dreaded? Were they still entangled in the web of lies they thought they'd escaped? What did you do? Mary whispered, fear creeping into her chest. I can't say too much, but there are people out there looking for us. They know we're here. And they'll do whatever it takes to silence us. Amanda's voice hitched as she rounded on Chloe. You have to understand, Chloe. You opened a door you can't close. Before they could process her words, the heavy metal door at the top of the stairs shook as if something was trying to force it open from outside, groans and shuffles echoing in the pitch blackness. Get away from there! James shouted. He rushed forward, blocking the light that flickered into the basement, but it did nothing to stifle the growing sound of chaos. I didn't know. I didn't know. Chloe cried, eyes wide, spiraling into panic. Please, we have to get out of here. A sudden crash against the door echoed like a thunderclap within the basement. Mary felt a surge of panic. We have to find a way out. Now. But as the door shuddered violently, a chilling realization crept over her. Whatever was beyond that door wasn't just seeking to seal their fate, it was eager, counting down the moments until it could reclaim its shadows. Mary's heart raced as she turned to Amanda, a breathless question caught in her throat. You know how to stop this, don't you? Just as hope slipped through the cracks, the door slammed open with a deafening bang, flooding the space with blinding light. But what emerged was not salvation. Run! Amanda screamed as a figure lunged toward them, eyes gleaming with malevolence, and as the darkness seemed to stretch and twist, Mary realized that whatever they'd unearthed was just the beginning. What had they awakened, and would they survive long enough to make things right? The light pierced through the gloom like a dagger, illuminating the chaos swirling in the basement. The figure surged forward, a silhouette carved from menace, its features obscured but its intent clear. Go! Get to the back! James shouted, his voice urgent as he shoved Mary and Chloe toward the shadows. They stumbled backward, hearts racing as they lost sight of Amanda. The entity moved fast, too fast. It lunged at James first, its sinister hunger palpable in the chilled air. But he managed to dodge, adrenaline fueling his desperation. Behind him, Mary felt her chest tighten as she grasped Chloe's hand, pulling her back just as the figure neared the two of them. They darted far into the dark corner of the room, scrambling behind an old workbench layered with dust and remnants of past projects. What was this thing? Was it real? Questions buzzed in Mary's mind, a chaotic storm. Where is Amanda? Chloe whispered, her voice barely a breath. Panic made her eyes shine with unshed tears. Mary's heart sank. She had no answer. She was right behind us. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed closer, accompanied by a low, guttural growl. It reverberated through the walls, filling the basement with a haunting reminder that they were not alone. "James!" Mary hissed, glancing toward the chaos. He was still engaged with the creature. She could see him grappling with it, his strength pitted against a force that seemed unnatural. She could barely make out his features, twisted in struggle, but one thing was clear: this fight was not in his favor. "We have to help him." Chloe's voice shook with urgency. "We'd be risking our lives. We don't even know what that thing is." Mary hissed, her hands trembling in anger and fear. "Then what if we leave him?" Chloe's voice broke, and Mary felt the weight of the dilemma crashing down on them both. Would they abandon their friend? "We can't just sit here." Before Mary could process the choice before them, a deafening roar filled the room as James was thrown against the wall, slumping to the ground, breathless. The figure's attention shifted, now focused on the two girls cowering in the dark. "Chloe, run!" James gasped, his voice barely a whisper. But fear locked her legs in place, and Mary felt that hold too. Then, a shadow flickered at the edge of Mary's vision. It was Amanda. Emerging from the dark recesses, her eyes were wild, face streaked with sweat. "I know what it wants!" she screamed, panic mixed with resolve. "It's the thing we awoke. It craves our secrets." Mary's stomach churned. "Say secrets. Secrets that have bound us. Secrets that make it stronger." Amanda's voice broke, and she glanced fearfully at the beast, whose piercing gaze seemed to suck the light from the room. A chilling idea gripped Mary's heart. "You mean the truth about what happened when you were gone?" "Yes. It doesn't just want us, it's drawn to our fears, the lies we've told." Amanda's urgency stretched through the tension like a taut wire. "But if we confront it, expose it, maybe we can weaken it." Mary's breath quickened as she felt the weight of that choice. Could they really face this darkness together? It felt like standing on the edge of an abyss, the truth swirling below, threatening to pull them in. "Are you with me?" Amanda's gaze bore into her. As the figure advanced, eyes blazing with hunger, Mary looked at James lying helpless on the ground and then at Chloe, who nodded, fear and determination etched across her face. "Yes," Mary breathed. "Let us do it." But just as they prepared to make their stand, the creature lunged forward, and the basement erupted into utter chaos. In that moment, everything shifted. What dark truth lurked within their labyrinth of secrets, and could their desperation be enough to seal the beast back into the shadows? The creature lunged with a speed that startled Mary, its shadow enveloping their corner. A wave of cold air washed over them, pinching every nerve in her body. The growl reverberated in her chest, a heartbeat of dread that pushed her instincts into overdrive. "We have to make it see us," Amanda yelled, pulling Mary and Chloe closer. "It's our secrets. It needs to know." Shoving aside her racing thoughts, Mary glanced at the dark creature. Its features blurred in the flickering light, but something deep in its eyes, a scavenger's ravenous hunger, sent a shiver down her spine. "How do we do that?" she demanded, her voice barely a whisper. "Tell it," Amanda shouted. "All of it. Only the truth can weaken it." Chloe trembled beside her but nodded, determination rising in her eyes. "I'll go first," she stammered, stepping out from behind the workbench. "I've kept it hidden, but I can't do that anymore. I'm not proud of it." The creature hesitated, eyes narrowing, as if sensing the shift in the atmosphere. It was drawn to Chloe, and with every breath, Mary felt the world contracting around the three of them. "I once," Chloe's voice quavered, cutting through the tension. "I once stole from my parents. I took money from their account for things I wanted. I thought no one would notice, that it didn't matter." As shame clawed at her, the creature's gaze flickered, and the monstrous growl turned into a low hiss. It seemed to linger, as if pondering the weight of the spoken secret. "A secret," Amanda pressed on, seeing an opportunity. "Now it's my turn." She stepped forward, raw emotion spilling out. I lied about where I went after that night. I wasn't alone, and it was my fault for not telling you. Mary's heart thudded in her chest, and she felt the heat of panic bubbling under her skin. Was this really working? The creature loomed, its form somehow more solid, every muscle coiling under the flickering light as it absorbed the girl's unveiled truths. Me too. Mary cried, caught up in a rush of fear and resolve. I'd hidden my fear. I thought if I pretended everything was fine, maybe it would be. But I know now. She took a deep breath, her heart racing. I once blamed Amanda for everything that went wrong. I thought it was her fault that we were all trapped here. The creature flinched, almost reeling back, the echo of their combined secrets hanging heavy in the air. It was like drawing back a curtain, exposing the darkness hiding within them. The energy shifted. With every confession, the oppressive weight seemed to lift, like waves ebbing away at the shore. But then, as an agonized scream erupted from James, raw and desperate, the creature's fury boiled over, its eyes burned with a furious blaze, twisting into a furious snarl. Lies! It bellowed, a guttural roar that rattled the basement walls. The ground shook, and Mary felt the air thicken as the creature hurled itself toward them, a tidal wave of rage. Brace yourself! Amanda shouted, pushing Mary and Chloe back behind her again. In that wild moment, the last sliver of their desperation cracked open the door to understanding. It didn't just want the pieces of their past, it wanted them to confront the darkness inside. I never meant it. Chloe screamed back, voice breaking as she faced the creature's wrath. We're taking it back. We're owning it. With a final surge of collective power, they raised their voices together, truths swirling in the air like a powerful incantation. But would it be enough to hold this monstrous force at bay, or would their pasts inevitably pull them down into the abyss? As the aura of chaos danced dangerously close, Mary realized they were one heartbeat away from facing the most terrifying truth yet. What if their darkest fears were only just beginning to unravel? A crackle of light erupted just as the creature lunged, revealing every terrible detail of its form. Feral teeth gleamed like shards of broken glass. Mary could feel her heart thundering, a drumbeat of survival drowning out her thoughts. The world narrowed down to the growls and gasps, the smell of damp earth mixed with terror filling her lungs. Yell louder. It's feeding off our weakness. Amanda urged, gripping Mary's arm, her fingers digging in with a panic-induced strength. Mary's breath hitched. She felt like a marionette with fraying strings. What if it doesn't stop? It has to. Amanda shot back, anger flashing in her eyes. Now go. We can't back down. Chloe's face was pale, her earlier resolve wavering, but she took a breath and stepped forward once again, hastily gathering her courage like a shield. You think we're afraid of you? She yelled, the tremor in her voice failing to hide her fear. We're more than our secrets. The words came out like a battle cry, and Mary felt a flicker of hope igniting within her chest. The creature hesitated, the haze of its rage diminishing slightly as it tilted its head. It was almost as if it were listening. With everything on the line, Mary knew they had to dig even deeper. Okay, I'll go again. What? Amanda gasped, fear stark in her eyes. I can't let this thing win. I need to do this. Mary demanded. She squared her shoulders, stepping up beside Chloe. I've done things that kept me up at night. I can't run anymore. I wished people hurt. I wished. Before she could finish, the creature roared, and the world plunged into darkness. The air thickened until it swirled with shadows, the walls seemed to pulse with the creature's breath. Don't let the fear swallow you whole. Amanda shouted, the urgency lacing her words. Think of what it means, what it took for you to get here. Mary squeezed her eyes shut, forcing the memories to rise, the honesty clawing its way out. I thought if I hid my true self, I could be liked. She felt sweat pooling at her temples, her throat tightening. I hungered for approval, and in that desperation, I pushed away the one person who cared. Chloe gasped, Amanda's eyes widened with recognition. The creature swiveled toward Mary, the intensity of its gaze almost paralyzing. It paused, as if contemplating the enormity of her confession. The air shifted, and for a moment, Mary dared to hope, then, a scathing laughter erupted from the depths of the creature. You think your truths matter, little girl? They are nothing but food for my hunger. The temperature plummeted, and the hairs on Mary's arms stood on end as panic surged through her. The shadows thickened, and she felt its cold reach, clutching at her heart. We're not done. Amanda shouted defiantly, her voice breaking through the weight of despair. We still have more. No. Chloe chimed in, shaking her head. We can't let it tear us down. We need to fight back, together. Suddenly, the basement trembled more violently, and Mary's knees buckled briefly. If we give in we'll lose. Amanda finished, her tone razor-sharp. The girls cast nervous glances at each other. Uncertainty flickered in Mary's eyes, but they couldn't back down now. They had to rise above. Gathering every ounce of her strength, Mary shouted, I once thought I was alone in all this, but this is bigger than my secrets. Our pain together makes us stronger. As the words spilled out, a tangible crack formed in the monster's menacing facade, the growl faltering, revealed for a moment as merely a wailing wind. With a newfound fire, they formed a chain, linking their hands in solidarity. We're not afraid of you. They yelled in unison, their voices echoing, cutting through the suffocating dark as truth radiated out like beams of light. Keep fighting. Amanda urged, but suddenly there was a flicker of pulse in the darkness. A rumble sounded from the depths of the basement, one that rattled the very foundation while the flickering lights surged wildly. What is happening? Chloe shrieked, eyes wide in horror. Mary felt the air shift as something new stirred, a presence rising behind them that sent another wave of fear crashing down on her. What have we unleashed? She whispered, suddenly aware that the battle was far from over, and the darkness they were confronting was only the beginning. The ground quaked, and Mary braced herself, terrified of the answers lurking just beyond her grasp. Were they truly prepared for the truth waiting to unfurl? A low growl emerged from the darkness, mingling with the tremors that lurched underfoot. Mary held on to Chloe and Amanda tightly, their hands taut like a lifeline against the darkness around them. The air felt electric, charged with a palpable dread as the flickering lights fought to keep the shadows at bay. Something shifted behind them, a whisper of movement, faint yet distinctly threatening. Mary turned slowly, her heart racing with a primal instinct for survival. What is it? She breathed, the words barely escaping her lips. Stay together. Amanda urged, her voice straining against the weight of fear. The trembling earth was a constant reminder that they were not alone. Chloe glanced over her shoulder, her eyes searching the darkness, scanning for the unseen terror. It's like it's waiting for something, she muttered, confusion clouding her features. Then, without warning, the temperature plummeted again. The sudden rush of cold swept through the basement like a chilling wind, making Mary shiver. It's feeding off our fear, Chloe said, despair creeping into her voice. No, Mary refuted, grit filling her tone. Fear won't win. We've found strength in our truths. We have to fight. With those words, as if summoned by her declaration, the shadows recoiled slightly, revealing the silhouette of the creature, massive and menacing, a grotesque mouth curling into a smile that didn't belong in any world. It was hungry for more than just fear. It craved the very essence of their souls. A sudden flash illuminated its rugged form, revealing scales, and eyes glinting with malice. You think mere words can stave me off? A voice echoed, deep and reverberating, as if it emanated from an abyss. You dare to confront your darkest truths? You have only begun to understand your weaknesses. Just as the creature spoke, the chain of girls trembled together, a surge of doubt breaking through their newfound resolve. Mary's heart raced, drumming against her ribcage. This is our choice, she said fiercely, forcing her eyes to remain locked on the creature. You don't own us. Really? The monster chortled, the laughter slithering into Mary's ears like ice. Then tell me your secrets, child. Show me what you've buried deep, and perhaps I'll reconsider. In that moment, time slowed as Mary's mind raced through a torrent of memories. Could she confess all? Could revealing every secret protect them? The burning shame of her truth echoed through her, the knife of doubt twisting deep. And yet, the unity with Chloe and Amanda felt like armor against her fears. Fine, Mary shouted, swallowing hard. I used to think I needed to be perfect, that every mistake was a nail to my coffin. I don't want to hide anymore. The creature leaned closer, interest piqued, as the walls vibrated with its anticipation. What else? I lured people into my life while pushing away the ones who truly cared. I was so afraid of rejection that I pushed everyone away. I thought that if I hid my fears, I could be strong. But I was lying to myself. With that confession spilling out raw and naked, a wave surged through the room beyond adrenaline, beyond fear like an enormous tide. And with that tide came a familiar warmth, a burning light that began to pierce the shadows. The creature shrieked, a sound that sliced through the basement and shattered the moment. No. That light, it burns. It recoiled, thrashing against the walls like a caged beast. The ground quaked again, a throbbing pulse that made the floor tremble beneath their feet. Keep sharing. Amanda yelled, her voice amplified by the fire of truth and the unity of their voices. Don't let it take over. I once ignored my own dreams, fed into the notion that my worth only came from approval. Mary shouted, feeling empowered by every word spoken. But I'm not just my failures. A luminous brilliance exploded from them, shooting into the darkness like a flare. The creature writhed, a distorted shadow, losing its grip on the basement as light surged through the cracks, but just as the dark began to recede, something else stirred in the shadows, an echo of laughter rising again, deeper and darker than before. A new wave of panic washed over Mary as the realization dawned, they had only begun to scratch the surface of what lay within. What is happening? Chloe cried out, her eyes wide with horror. Something worse, Amanda whispered, fear creeping back into her voice. Then it hit Mary, what had they truly unleashed in this battle against fear? As the echoes rumbled from the depths below, they felt it, a dark resolve, a force that was only beginning to awaken. Let us get out of here. Mary shouted, overwhelmed by urgency. But a chill crept in, tightening around her throat, and as they turned to run, a shadow flickered behind them, a promise that this was far from over. What lurked in that darkness still hungered for more. The shadows clawed at their heels as Mary, Chloe, and Amanda bolted from the basement, adrenaline surging through their veins, amplifying every heartbeat. The echo of their panic thrummed against the stone walls, intermingling with the relentless growl still chasing them into the light. Each step felt heavier than the last, their breath coming in ragged gasps with fear skimming just beneath the surface. Turn here. We'll use the back tunnel. Mary screeched, her voice a frantic command as she yanked Chloe by the arm, adrenaline overriding any lingering doubts. The hidden passageway loomed ahead like salvation, a small exit from the fiendish grip of the creature lurking below. Go. Go. Amanda urged, every ounce of her strength directed toward Chloe, her eyes fierce with determination. Cresting the eye of the storm seemed possible now, yet the sense of dread that had crept into their bones remained unshaken. The weight of their shared secrets resisted adaptation, shoving realistic fears into their minds. As they dived into the passageway, the darkness hugged them tighter, damp and suffocating. Mary felt like they were racing to an end she couldn't see, trembling hands guiding the way. Whispers echoed, a chaotic blend of what they had unearthed. Each truth clawed at Mary's consciousness, begging for ownership, acceptance, and understanding. The echoes seemed tangible now, a reminder of the turmoil they had been locked into for so long. Do you think it's still following us? Chloe's voice trembled, barely escaping through the tightness in her throat. I don't know. Mary shot back. We have to keep moving. Fear warped her gesticulations, producing a desperate urgency to reach safety. As they traversed the winding tunnel, Amanda flicked her torch on, revealing glistening stone walls that reflected their own anxious expressions. It felt unreal, like they had only just forged a semblance of truth before retreating into a more sinister uncertainty. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shook, sending vibrations racing up their legs like electric shocks. Shadows flickered on the walls, pulsating rhythmically, as if the darkness itself were alive and aware. Faster! Amanda yelled, her voice fierce, driving them forward, but a terrible noise shattered the moment, like shards of glass breaking through the vacuum of despair. The creature's roar echoed, hungry, needy, desperate for the secrets they had so long kept buried. It would not let them go so easily. Mary felt her resolve falter. "We have to confront our truth," she urged, her voice cracking. "Not now!" Chloe screamed, panic surging her veins, but the air stretched taut with pressure, and Mary felt her will collapsing under the weight of the shadows. "I can't run anymore," she cried. "We're taking back what it stole from us. We have to end this. No more hiding." Amanda's voice blared, resonating with unyielding strength. In one fluid motion, they halted, hearts pounding fiercely, opening themselves to the gravitas of the secrets entwined in their existence. The tunnel thrummed, pulsating with an energy that felt familiar yet unwelcoming. "Fine!" Mary shouted, with raw resolve. "I will expose every fear, every lie to take my power back. I want to let you have me." The creature's growl morphed into a dissonant thunder, the shadows morphing like a torrent of darkness swirling around them in a tempest. It clawed at the edges of reality, desperate to claw back control. "Chloe!" Mary cried, whirling around, urging her onward. "We'll do this together." Chloe, eyes wide with resolve, finally nodded, catching the spark of truth from her. "I'll go. I can't let this darkness trap us." Gathering herself, Chloe stepped out, the flicker of bravery illuminating the shadows. "Once, I thought being perfect was enough. I thought if I manufactured happiness, the anxiety would vanish." She clenched her fists, her courage shining within. Had the creature faltered? Every word hovered in the air, every confession seemed to reverberate with a tension-filled rhythm. "Keep going!" Amanda shouted, clutching Mary's arm as fear entwined with hope. "I can't change the past. But I want to let it dictate my future." Mary's voice rang out, strong and steady. "I've denied my truth, I've let doubt haunt me. No more." The shadows wavered, and Mary felt a palpable shift as light broke through their confessions, mingling courage with revelation. Each word threw light onto the darkness, sending tendrils of vulnerability to expose the lies. "I can't let your hunger feast on these truths anymore," Amanda proclaimed, stepping forward. "You are not stronger than us. Together, we can bring you down." The creature's glare narrowed, eyes gleaming with anger and desperation. "You have awakened the memories, and they weigh heavy." It snapped back, venom spilling from its voice. "You think casting out your shadows releases you?" "Perhaps," Chloe shot back, "but it's a battle we must fight." The shadows roiled, but the light erupted forth, azure and golden strands weaving through the murk. A surge of warmth fueled their hearts, knitting a brave tapestry from every shred of vulnerability they offered. "Together!" Mary yelled, grasping the hands of her friends tightly. "Every truth shared becomes our weapon against you." Just like that, their connection grew. The shadows shrunk and flickered under the power of their united voices. The creature screeched, its form dissolving in the brilliance of truth unleashed, the echoes of their collective resistance ringing through the tunnel. Then, as quickly as it started, the overwhelming rush of power faded, the heavy blanket of darkness lifting. The creature wailed, every pitch reverberating deep within them. As the tunnel illuminated, beckoning them toward freedom, a palpable sense of victory erupted. They squared their shoulders together, knowing they had faced the formidable beast of fear and emerged changed, wounded yet unwavering. The light shone brightly ahead, unfurling before them like a new beginning, filled with possibility. Mary felt a rush of gratitude, relief, and a burgeoning realization that emerged stronger than ever, and they stepped into the light. As they exited the tunnel, a weight lifted, and Mary felt a sense of belonging she never had before, a bond forged in the flames of truth and unwavering trust. They walked into the dawn together, three brave souls ready to honor the scarred truth of their past and wade into a world that awaited their revelation. But as they stood on the threshold of the mansion once more, a haunting whisper lingered, a warning echoing in the quiet stillness. The shadows may have retreated for now, but Mary understood they were not gone forever. Secrets could never truly die, they would linger, festering, waiting for their chance again. But together, they would face any darkness that dared to rise, and with renewed strength, they turned toward the horizon, knowing they were ready for whatever awaited them ahead. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this thrilling conclusion. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this unforgettable story. Don't wait even one more second to share. True fans understand the importance of supporting our channel through these actions.